Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Sisters of Legacy. Tonight, we are going to be talking about sisterhood, what it means to us, the good, the bad, the ugly sides of it. Let's talk about it, guys. We'll be right back after we run our intro. All right, ladies, we are back. I know my screen looks a little weird. So, welcome tonight, ladies. We have Shanetta McNair.
Hi.
And Tangela Terrell.
Hello.
And tonight we are missing our fourth, Katrina Taylor. Of course, her input will be missed tonight, and we will be eagerly awaiting her to return next week. So, ladies, let's talk about it. So, sisterhood. When you hear that word, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
First thing that comes to my mind, I'm sorry, go ahead, Shanetta.
No, go ahead.
Is relationship.
Okay.
Is relationship. And I'll pause there as we'll delve more into the different types of relationships among sisters.
Okay.
I think first thing that comes to my mind are actually my real sisters initially. But then I guess the same thing is Tangela, a circle of friends. So relationships.
Okay. And when I think of sisterhood, I think, yeah, definitely for me, the first thing that comes to mind is my sisters first, because I have three younger, amazing firecracker sisters. So that's the first thing, that I always think about is them and my relationship with them. That's the first thing that always comes to mind when I think of sisterhood. Okay, so Tangela, elaborate. Tell us how that works. You said first thing that comes to mind is relationship, meaning?
Mm-hmm. Meaning our natural, and I have sisters as well. So you automatically think of people that you are associated with by no choice of your own. So I think you have sisters that you are born with, and then you have sisters who come to become sisters through relationships and time spent together and things like that. But I think the common denominator is some sort of common interest or commonality. Among blood sisters, it's our DNA, or it is we were raised in the same household, we have the same parents, so we have that in common. But then as we grow older and we start to associate in different circles, we start to build sisterhood among people who we have other interests with. Be it in the church or for those who may be a part of a sorority, things like that. You start to build a bond with people, with whom you share those common interests with.
Okay. Shanetta?
I definitely agree with Tangela on that. I think after when it's not your natural born sisters, of course you have that bond. I think when you have sisters that are, born into your family or you're born into the family and they're your natural sisters, you create that bond naturally. But I do think that when you have people that you connect with and you just in different ways. And I mean, she listed so many different ways that I'm kind of nodding like, yeah, that and that and that. When you find those connections and you just kind of, you're bonding together, it creates just that good feeling, that comfortable feeling where you can feel like, okay, this is somebody I can trust. This is somebody that, they love me and I love them. And it's just kind of like I think that's where we kind of begin to say things like sisterhood, because it means that you kind of have a bond that's kind of like family,
Mhm.
but not really your family, but you have that bond that connects you.
Mhm.
Okay. And so I did look up the definition of sisterhood just to see, what was in the dictionary. So one of the definitions was an association, society, or community of women linked by common interests, religion, or trade. And then I also looked up, what were some of the signs of good sisterhood or being a good sister, and some of the qualities. And the most pressing thing, of course, that came out for me was it said a good sister demonstrates qualities of honesty, loyalty, and trustworthiness. Um, and I thought, like, that was an excellent way to put it. And then I thought of, in terms of me, like, do I display those qualities, in the relationships that I have with other women outside of my immediate family? Because, it's easy to, well, I feel like sometimes it's easier to have those relationships, with family.
Hmm.
And then once you venture outside of your DNA, it's not always easy. And so, I was thinking in terms of myself, like, I know in the past I've always said like, oh, I don't get along with women. Like, I grew up around all the guys. I had way more male friends than I had female friends growing up. Like I think I may have, I had a very limited amount of females that I interacted with. Most of my friends, that went to church and we hung out, it was all boys. I was like the rough girl. I didn't, I wore a dress to church because I had to, but if it wasn't mandatory, I wouldn't have put one on because I
Right.
was, like I was the tomboy growing up. I always had like a bunch of male friends, and I grew up always saying, I don't like girls. Like, for a long time, I mean, even getting to an adult, I would always be like, yeah, it went from I don't like girls to I don't like women. Like women just don't click. And I'll have to say, like, it's been in the last couple of years, I'll say that I've outgrown myself. Because, looking back, I can honestly say that some of it was just on me and my inability to open up to people. It's easy to say like, oh, it's hard to trust people, but you have to give people a shot somewhere. I'm the person, I just look at you and be like, oh, I don't trust her. Like it don't even have to be, a big reason in the past. I just didn't really even want to venture, out of my comfort zone. Like I was always comfortable, in the space that I was in. And so in the last couple of years, like I said, I've managed to outgrow myself, um, and start to try to establish more of a sisterhood, with other women and be willing to put myself out there and be vulnerable. And, anytime that you're honest with somebody, hey Terry, how are you? I feel like, you're always you have to take a chance.
Hmm.
Okay, nobody told you to talk. You have to be willing to take a chance. And then I've also learned um kind of like the importance of being connected to other women. And don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
I'm still very selective.
Yeah.
I will say that I am still very selective, but I have I can say almost done like a complete 360 of where I was. And for me, Um, like I think sometimes we have a whole list of stuff, that we expect people to know about us, to understand about us, or to even possess. And I think when you build up all these reasons, like you give yourself an out where you
Mhm.
don't have to.
Yeah. Right.
'Cause you got a whole list of reasons. It's like you already gave yourself an out before anybody even show up.
Hmm.
100%, I would agree with that. So I am a loner. Growing up, I did have a lot. I think I did have more friends that were boys than girls. But even back when I was a teenager, I was definitely like a loner, and I was kind of like a person that like I could be by myself. I'm okay being by myself. It doesn't matter if I have a group of friends or if I don't. Like I'm okay with just me. Which is probably why as an adult, like I'm okay like grabbing a book and like going to sit somewhere by myself where I can take myself to go get a meal and all that kind of stuff. Like I'm cool being by myself. But that was just my personality, and it was like if you were my friend, you were my friend. And it was like you weren't just my friend, you were my sister pretty much if you were my friend. But it took so much to get past, I guess, my shell that I had built up around myself, that I couldn't create those types of relationships that were more than just hey, and kind of keep it moving. And I found myself even as an adult being similar, to that in a whole lot of aspects where I didn't have a whole lot of girlfriends. Like even now, if somebody said, "Oh, we're gonna throw you a party. Give me your list of girlfriends that you would invite to your party." The list will probably include maybe 5 or 6 people, and I would just be like, I don't know, like, and I might be stretching it with this 5 or 6.
Hmm.
It would just it would be very limited because I haven't really allowed that door to be open for major, friendships like that create that lifelong bond. But I have like when I went to college, I had this one friend, and we're still friends to this day. On the first day of freshman orientation, she started talking to me. And I just kept looking at her like, okay, are you gonna stop talking? And she never stopped talking. Like she literally just talked and talked and talked and talked. And it was like almost like I didn't have a choice but to be her friend, because it was like you can't help but like her, because like when you listen to her talk, she was really funny. And so we became friends and we created this friendship. But that has always been the nature of our friendship. She could literally call me now, we get on the phone, she'll talk for an hour, and I would listen to her for an hour, and then she'll ask me a couple of questions, I'll answer, and then we be off the phone. And that's always been the nature of our sisterhood. But I know that if I need her, I can call her. Because we have that kind of bond, and like we've always, just kind of been friends like that. But she's a talker. So it made it easy to be her friend for me when I was kind of more reserved. So
Gotcha.
that's just kind of like my experience a little bit.
Hi, Mother Norris. Thanks for joining us. So Anthony said, so you struggle, I guess he's saying, with letting people get close.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And for me, I'm listening to you all talk, and I'm thinking about kind of how, I grew up in my concept of friends and girlfriends and things like that. And I too didn't have a lot. And I think I wanted to have more friends when I was younger, but I was shy and just afraid to let people in and be
Mhm.
honest with people. And as I grew up, that kind of became comfortable to me. And my little comfort zone was nice and cozy. I was in there by myself, and I was good. But as I'm growing, I'm understanding how important, especially godly connections are, and how we need people and we need each other to help challenge us and to just really kind of bring things. People have a way of bringing different things out of you.
Yeah.
So that is AD, one of the struggles that I do have is to kind of letting people get close and letting that guard down. um I don't know why. I know for me, as I was younger, it was more insecurities and things like that. um as an adult, maybe it's still there. Maybe I'm, you know, will talk to somebody about that, but it's still, kind of that thing in the back of my head to say, maybe not. That's okay. We really don't need to. So I don't know.
My daughter says that girls are messy.
Right.
That's like when I asked her, why do you only have a limited group of girlfriends? She's like, because girls are so messy. Like, I don't
Right.
have time for the drama. I don't want to. And she grew up with all boys.
Yeah.
So her being the only girl, like, she just knows that, like, we're going to fight, we're going to have our arguments, and then we're going to go back to playing this video game. And it's
Right.
not going to be lingering drama. And she's like, but girls are just not like that. Like, and I would listen to her explain it, and I would find myself kind of nodding as I'm listening to her, like, oh yeah, you're kind of right, kid. Like, I get it. Like, I totally understand.
Right. Like, well, I'm sure you guys, have experienced, especially from, spending the weekend together. Like, I have very strong opinions about things. And I've never been the person to kind of like shy away from, my convictions or what I think or what I believe. And then, like the truth, or I'll say, my truth outside of just my convictions, like I'm big on the truth. So like, it's been a lot of instances where somebody say something to you, like I call Tangela. I'd be like, oh, Tangela, did you notice that Shanetta got corns? Something dumb, and then you go back and tell Shanetta. Then I'm like, but I didn't say that. Like I've had a lot of those instances, and I'm just like, it can get exhausting,
Yeah.
trying to force people, just to be honest about something. For me, there's a lot of why I struggle with getting close to people. Anthony said, what is the biggest fear about letting people in? I know for me, I don't know about a fear. Like, I don't even know if I have a fear of letting people in. It just gets exhaustive to me, trying to, connect with people and whatever. And then you see, like, if you always lying, I'm exhausted already. Like, I'm tired. I'm over it. If you can't, because if you call and say, oh, I just got my hair done and I think it's ugly, I'm like, you should do something else. I don't really like that. But like it's simple stuff that sometimes people can't hear or don't really want to hear. And I've never been the person, like 9 times out of 10, if you got something in your head that you're thinking, the way my mind works, I'm probably thinking the total opposite. So like, and then when it comes time to talk about it, you want me to think like you think. And it's like those things have always been difficult, for me, because not that, like I'm a unicorn and I'm so special, but just, it seems like there's always that group clique mentality, like you have to do this to fit in over here, and you have to, hold your head up high to sit over there. And, I've never been much of a fitter in type person. I'm kind of like, I'll be good by myself. I'm like, you should never like, okay, well, you don't want to talk, I'm good. Like, I'm over here doing my own thing. So I don't know if I really have a fear of letting people in, other than just, sometimes it's not worth the effort.
I think another aspect too is that sometimes there's a fear of judgment. There's a fear of rejection. I know I've seen friendships where it seems to be one-sided, where it's like we're friends in this circle, but if I see you in this circle,
We're not.
then we're not really friends, and to that will bother me.
Right.
If you can only be my friend when it's convenient for you, or depending on who's around. The one-sided thing can be a barrier to really letting people in. And I knew personally I take friendship seriously.
Right.
Um and I don't I mean I guess there is a place for those superficial acquaintances, I guess you'll call them, but a lot of times, that kind of aggravates me, because if we're just talking about superficial stuff, I like to have meaningful connecting conversations with people and getting to know people and sharing, who I really am, and in hopes of learning and gleaning from each other. But that's not always everyone's motives. Other people, people have different motives when they enter into a friendship or a quote unquote sisterhood. And I think it's not always, you definitely need discernment when entering these type of relationships.
Hmm. One thing that my sisters, both of them, one is actually my cousin, but because of our relationship, she's my sister. And like we identify as sisters. But both of them, they have these significant groups of friends, and it's like the friendships have lasted all these years, and that's is one of the things I really admire about both of them, is that they've maintained these different circles of friends. um my the youngest one, she has her friends that she met in middle school, that they are all like, the kids are like, Auntie Renee and Auntie, like the kids identify them as aunt because they've been so close. So when she was getting married, we were having this discussion about who all was going to be in her wedding. And she didn't want her sisters in the wedding. She didn't want us in the wedding because she wanted us to be able to enjoy the experience of her getting married and not have to kind of work to help her get to the getting married part. She wanted us to be able to see the wedding.
Mhm.
Um, so when she made that choice, initially we were just kind of like, we're not in your wedding. But then when we realized that it was her circle of friends that she was putting in positions, and that she really worked them girls, like for real, she worked her bridesmaids. Um, that we kind of better understood what she was doing, and it didn't feel as hurtful. It didn't feel, that was her sisterhood, those were her friends, we were her sisters, but those were her sisterhood of friends that she wanted to kind of do certain things for her throughout the process of getting. We had our roles, but they had a role too. And when I look at those friendships that she has with them, it can be anything from the moment that when she graduated high school, when she graduated college, when she got married, the birth of all of her children, they were there. And it wasn't like a superficial relationship. It's very much so, we're here for every moment of your life. We won't miss anything. One of them lives here in Atlanta now, and she literally will fly back to Detroit to be with my sister if something comes up. And it could be anything that, like, if my sister's crying about something, they're right there. And they'll let us know, like, if there's something she's not telling us because she doesn't want family to know, and they see it, because they're so close with her, and that's the bond they have with her, they communicate with us too and let us know, hey, she's going through something she doesn't want to tell y'all, but y'all need to check on her. So it's more than just, oh, that's my buddy, oh, that's my friend. They have a connection and a bond that's like, it's been lifelong. And when they fight, but when they get done with it, like, it's like we're still right here for each other, like family. And
Mm.
that it I love it. I love their friendships.
Okay. Hey, Kita. Um, so how do we get outside of the box? How do we expand our circle of sisterhood? How do you expand it? Or do you see yourself expanding your circle of sisterhood?
This has expanded it for me.
Mhm. 100%. I agree with that, because there's been times where, people that I may want to get to know, but I don't have that personality to just walk up to people and say, hi, my name is Angela, I want to be your friend, or, I wouldn't do that.
Right.
But um I think there is a part of me that, kind of desires that sister circle, of friends. But I think for me, in maybe different ways. and maybe it's because of my birth order. I'm the oldest, so I've always wanted an older sister. So I gravitate to people who are older than me or who have experienced more than I have, so that I don't have to be the oldest person, or the one there. I always wanted to, to learn from other people. So for me, I do see a need to expand my circle of sisterhood. But I think for me, that's going to require a bit of vulnerability that I'm trying to work my way out of. So if anybody have any suggestions, please drop them in the comments section.
I'm the same. I think we all are actually the oldest girls, right?
I'm the oldest child. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So I think, and that might be why we're kind of similar, I guess, in that aspect, because we're kind of leaned on more so than leaning on others.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, like the whole vulnerable part. Like, I don't. I guess I don't. That's not like really a struggle like of mine, because I've always felt like, oh right. Hey
Hey,
Trina.
Trina.
Yes, Trina is the youngest of her three sisters. She is the baby. Yes, Trina is the baby. My thing is kind of like, I've always felt like this is who I am. Like, if you don't like me for who I am, I always say I always say, like, I don't know how to be anybody else. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, so if you don't like who I am, then I've always told myself, like, you're just not the person that's destined to be in my life. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? And sometimes that could be, a painful realization to come to, that somebody is just, no matter how much you may think you want them to be a part of your story, that they're just really not a story. Oh, she said, I'm the middle, but I'm treated like the oldest. So I feel the attachment to older females. Okay. He said, wow. So would you rather be in a circle that you can glean more and no one leans on you? I don't
No,
even,
I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't say that. But I think for me, when my family may disagree, but I know I've kind of felt like I'm the one that who is counted on to like have it together.
Hmm.
Um, and there are things that I need and don't know, that I wish I had like an older sister who I could learn from. But I would love to be in a circle where I could learn and I can share what I have maybe experienced or um, accomplished. But I feel like that circle would have to show value and interest in other people and not just a clique or a posse or anything like that. So I
Right.
think a circle that's a healthy mutual exchange,
right.
I think is ideal in my mind.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%.
I mean, I don't even think I would know how to be like in a circle where where you're just not needed. Like,
Right,
I mean, it
right,
might sound weird, but like in a circle where you just somebody in here. Like, I feel like, like even in church, even I have to feel like I'm needed, or I'm a part. I can't
right.
just be there.
I
So I
agree.
think I would, because I don't think I think I'm with you. That diverse, I need a diverse group of people. I think we're trying to be too nice or too sensitive. I'm not sure what that means, Ashley. You're gonna have to be kind means being painfully brutal. Uh you gotta have to elaborate on what that means. Because and for a long time I was that person. Like, I'm just like, oh, that outfit ugly. Like, for, just, and I felt good about it because in my mind, I'm saying, like,
I'm telling the truth.
right. In my mind, right. I was telling the truth. But, to be honest, I had to be honest with myself. Like, yes, I did tell the truth, but in telling the truth, it doesn't have to be so overpowering. There's several ways to say, something may not be as flattering or that I just don't like it. Because, the reality is I just don't like the outfit, and that's fine. Like, I cannot like it, but I think, when we're talking about sisterhood, I think it's important. Honesty always at the top of my list. Let me start with that. Honesty is at the top of my list. But I think if I care about you and you are a part of my circle, you're a part of my family, how I'm honest with you matters. Because
I agree.
a part of sisterhood is getting to know you. Like, I might can tell Shanetta, whatever, your shirt is ugly. And me and her have that relationship. But when it comes to Tangela, I need to say, oh, Tangela, you should try a purple shirt instead of, whatever. Now, in essence, I've been honest with the both of them, you know, but because I know who I'm dealing with, and your feelings and our relationship matter. Like, I have to be careful with how I deal with you. Relationships. If you don't care enough about somebody, then you shouldn't be in a relationship. And so
Right.
sometimes that brutal, like anytime you try to say, that's brutal honesty, it's like, how your parents tell you, oh, I beat you because I love you. Like, everything doesn't have to hurt.
Right.
So, like, my love for you shouldn't hurt. Sometimes it might be like, ooh, okay, but you know me like I know you, and so you know that it comes from a place of love, and you can receive it. But if you just drop stuff on people, if they can't receive it, then what's the point of you even saying it?
Right.
I agree, but I think Ashley brings up a good point, and what I kind of interpreted from that is there will be times in a real relationship where you may have to share something that is not, the most warm and fuzzy communication. And I think that, like you said, the way you do it is most important than actually what you say. And if you're concerned about the relationship and the individual, then you will be mindful of what and how you say it. Especially if you see that your friend is making a decision or an action that could be detrimental in some way. Um, I know I'm the type to well, you grown. I'm gonna let you do what you do. But I know that there will come a time where, as a sister or as a friend, I would be not doing a good job in my role if I didn't share, this could be, detrimental, or have you thought about these implications or something to that effect. But again, how you say it is most important.
Definitely.
Hold on, let me get some of these comments because they're rolling in. He said, "Do you find yourself being very guarded when someone tries to be your friend or approach is a friendly, extroverted way?"
I get what he's saying, and I would say yes to that. Being an introvert, when people who are, nice, I'm like, why do you want to be my friend? But what are you looking for? So, like, what do you want? Like, why are you trying to get close to me? Why do you keep calling me? Like, so, like, that's like really my personality, because I'm trying to figure you out. But at the same time, like, it's hard to come out of a shell when you're used to kind of being just to yourself and kind of keeping to yourself. It does make it hard to just like open up and just be right there for a new friendship, because you're comfortable with the old ones already. If a new person is approaching you, you're just kind of like, but why? What's going on? And it makes you question like just kind of everything until you get past that, that point of where, okay, they're just being genuinely, interested. They want to, hang out, talk, or whatever. So I would say yes to that.
Ashley said, someone is happy with themselves, just let them be. I get it, but wait, what? Oh, but is it a part of I guess sisterhood, making sure they don't look like a fool? I mean, yes and no. I mean, part of sisterhood, I think love and support. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like I have to love you and support you. And sometimes supporting you, like if I make you feel like a fool before you even get to looking like a fool, you know, the message still gets lost in translation.
Right.
Like you trying to tell somebody that you're trying to save them, but the whole time, you're beating them down. So I think sometimes it has to be love and support, but it comes over time too. You have to know people. Beyonce does not look good with every hair
Uh-oh.
or outfit.
Right.
Uh,
Mhm.
And
yeah,
and I can't tell her that because I don't know her
Right.
like that.
right.
But you should be able to tell her, "Hey,
The
girl,
people,
don't do your hair like that again." That's not
right. The people closest to her.
right. So
Mhm.
it's all about relationship.
Spiritual butterfly. Hi, welcome. She said, right. You wonder what's their agenda. Hi, B, welcome. Yeah, I will. People get too friendly. Yeah, if you're too over the top, uh, yeah, you will, cause me to step back. Not necessarily because I think you want something from me, but because like, like I think Tangela, you said it, you value your friendships, you value people. Like I realize a friendship takes time to build. Any relationship takes time to build. I don't intend on jumping into a friendship, with you. It has to take time, because I want to know who you are and I want you to know who I am, as well. And I realize those things take time. So if you come on too strong, um, more than likely, I'm just going to back away. I mean, honestly, I don't even care what your agenda is. I just feel like, I need to back up and give you some space. Um, so yeah, I will say, when people come on too strong, it's just it can be a lot. But I've also learned that sometimes that's people's personality.
Yeah.
Like sometimes people are just what
Okay.
they seem to me as over the top.
Right.
Let's see. She said, okay. So Michelle said, I was an only child. I think when women or females come into your life, you need to open a door so they can have a chance. I don't think all women may not make it into my sisterhood, but I do like inviting people in. Right? You have to, I mean, what does the Bible say? Who he who wants friends must what? Show himself friendly or whatever.
Friendly. When the
Um
book.
yeah, I love you too, Michelle. Um, so I think if sisterhood is really something that you desire, you definitely have to be willing to take the chance. And if sisterhood is something you don't desire, I would say you might want to, evaluate why.
Mhm.
Don't let one bad experience or even several bad experiences, ruin what doesn't have to be bad. Sisterhood and relationship and connections can be beautiful. They
Yeah.
can be wonderful. They can be supportive. They can cause you to grow. There's so many good things that can come
Right.
out of, a true sisterhood. But just like, when you're dating, you got to kiss a couple of frogs. They always say you kiss a couple of frogs to find your prince. So, the same thing kind of applies with sisterhood. Sometimes, you make a couple of, I won't say bad connections, not so, but not permanent connections. Because sometimes it's meant for you to find that person that kind of, maybe treat you a little to the left. It's a learning experience.
Yeah.
So I feel like
Yes.
some things come for a reason. Everything is not just
Amen.
about what we see. Some things there's a purpose. Sometimes that person comes into your path and it's to teach you to be a stronger individual. Sometimes it's to help you get your discernment up, to pay more attention the next time. every relationship, I feel like you have to decide what you want and what you don't want. Even in a friend, you have to decide like what kind of connections you really want to make. And if, and it should all be based on what you see for your future.
Right.
Sometimes people are right now friends. It's like, okay, I'm gonna connect to you. We're gonna be friends right now. And then, maybe you'll leave the job and you won't ever talk to them again. But while you're at that job, that could be your partner. That's the person that when you're having a bad day, they say, oh, you look like you're not having a good day. That may be the one person in the whole job, that winds up being your support system. But when you leave the job, it's like, okay, that was fine while it lasted, but it's over. So I think you kind of just have to know, what you want and really, and be honest with yourself first, because it's hard to connect to anybody or be in a relationship with anybody if you're not sure of who you are.
Right.
Because you don't want to be the person in a relationship that's different every day. I talk to you on Monday, you fine. I talk to you on Thursday, you crazy. And then on Saturday, you crying. I mean, that's a lot. Like that's a lot for a relationship.
I have a question, kind of to piggyback on what AD asked. Is it important for friendships or connections that you make to have a similar personality style as you? Or do you connect with people of a, for if you're introverted, do you kind of connect more with other introverts? Or if you're outspoken, do you connect more with people who are outspoken?
She said, no, Sam, we are not temporary sisters. I will not let you. Keita, I miss you so much. I love you. You need to come back to Georgia. I would like, so in my mind, right, I always say like to Anthony, I'm always like, I'm real outspoken. Why do I keep, like, I always seem to get connected with people that are not as outspoken as me. And then I feel like I'm the one that's always like, ah, like, and I'm like, why can't I find people that's as outspoken as I am? I mean, I wonder what that would look like, but it sounds good in my head. So, it sounds good because I'd be like, I wish somebody just be honest. If you don't like what I said, just like, Sam, I don't like that. Like, I could respect that, a whole lot rather than me wondering how you feel about something I said. So I don't think, that everybody should be like you, because it's kind of like, I mean, if everybody's real passive, right?
Right.
Who gonna be the one? Like, how do you change? How do you grow?
Yeah.
I think a healthy mix is good. You want somebody that's gonna, say something. You be like, ooh, and then be like, oh, you know what? Right, I do need to do better. I gotta, I feel like you gotta have a healthy mix, to grow and be better. Because if everybody around you is like you, then
right,
there's no change. Right, Keita, balance. I think it's good to have a healthy balance of people. You have to have somebody, and it always has to be somebody, some accountability in the circle too.
That's a good one.
They're like, sisterhood should also be about accountability. Like, let's just say, I don't know, for whatever reason, I bump my head and I start going to the club all the time. And I call you like, Tangela, yeah, girl, I was at the club last night. And you like, oh, well, what happened with the kids? Or how the kids doing? Girl, I don't got time to be helping AJ with his homework. I'm going to the club. Like at that point, Tangela need to be like, okay, are you okay? Like, do we need to have a face-to-face? Like, is it something I'm missing? What's going on? Like, I need somebody in my circle to be like, okay, come on back. Like, you going too far. It seems like something's a little off. I think those things, that accountability factor, or, when you see that I ain't been to church in 6 months, you're like, okay, are you, Shanetta be like, okay, Sam, so haven't seen you. You know, do I need to call you and pray with you once a week? What is it that you need to get back on track? So I think accountability is a big part of an effective sisterhood. Because, you don't want to just be attached to people in name or to just say, oh, I'm a part of that.
Right.
Just to be able to say it. Like I want where there's some kind of accountability. I need people that don't just in their mind, they think I want to see her do better, but don't ever tell me when I'm missing the mark. Like,
Right.
say, hey Sam, you slipping a little bit. Like I invite y'all over and I got McDonald's or something, like something that's totally you
The
feel
norm.
like right. It's like you okay because this not really
It's
your
not
type
you.
of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. I think it's important to have definitely that balance in your friendships, but I do think that sometimes we kind of attract like-minded people. And it's kind of like because maybe we're not as responsive to people who are different from us, or maybe it's that if you're kind of the reserved or quiet one, you don't know anything else but reserved or quiet. But what I found out, and I actually observed this over the past weekend, for when we were kind of at the cabins. um, I realized how much I have in common with people that I thought were different from me. And
Right.
it was kind of like, oh my God, you've been around these people and you've just been missing all of this. And it was kind of like enlightening because it's like I thought they were so different from me, and they're really not. Like we're kind of all one in the same, but at the
Right.
same time, we're a little different, but we're kind of like we have so much in common. It was actually really enlightening for me, and I feel like that was a weird, I guess, realization at this age because I feel like I don't know, other people have these realizations when they're younger, and that's how they create better friendships. I don't know. But I was just like, wow, like get to know people. Just ask a couple of
Yeah.
questions, have a
Yeah.
conversation. And a simple conversation can lead you to connect to people in so many different ways that it's just kind of like, if I would have known them like 5 years ago, I would have had this lifelong friend. We could have been friends 5 years ago. Like what we've been waiting on.
Right. And I will say, me, and Anthony, we talked about it that as well. Like, just realizing how much, like you said, like some of us really had in common. And, sometimes some of the things you've been through or experienced, you're so fearful kind of people knowing that about you
Hmm.
that, that you don't share, only to find out that the person, that you say hi to, you hang out with, maybe go to dinner with,
Going through the
they got
same
that
thing that you.
same, right, that
Yeah.
same background and that same past. And then, it's like the realization of, dang, when I was having that bad day thinking about this, I could have called you because
Right.
you probably been there just like I have.
Yep.
But that's the thing, you'll never, until you extend that olive branch, you'll never know. Until
Right.
you come out of that shell, you'll never know. You have
Yep.
to, be willing to take that chance. Um,
Hmm.
I know like it seemed like, this is like my thing, getting people together. But I promise in the last 2 years, like this has been like I'm a whole almost another different person. Because for the longest I had the same one friend, and then I had other people that I talked to, but I had like one person, that I considered my friend for years. And the crazy part is once I started changing the way I thought, and was like, okay, I need to expand who I am and I need to expand my circle. That one friend that I'd had like my whole life, like since 9 years old, I'm not even friends with her anymore.
Oh.
Like it completely, as soon as like, almost like a butterfly. You know, you've been a caterpillar for so long, and then as soon as I got wings and start trying to spread them out, the whole relationship like just dissipated. I mean, almost overnight.
Wow.
And like, you know, and in my mind, I was like, well, ain't this the weirdest thing? You know, now that I want to do more and expand, and in my mind, I felt like I wanted to do better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you lose, you know, the very thing that you thought you had all this time?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I guess sometimes when you think about sisterhood, I guess, you know, thinking about things like that, that can be one of the drawbacks of wanting to expand your circle or just be better. You know, sometimes when you expand, everybody doesn't expand with you.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
And,
definitely.
and that could be a downside, you know, like
Can
especially
be.
when you know, you've had these connections and then it's like, okay, you know, I want to connect over here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that can be one of the downsides of trying to you know, have a sisterhood, sometimes just wanting to be outside of the norm, you know, wanting to do something different sometimes, you know, it can change everything. And it's like I had to come to the realization that, you know, seasons change,
Mm-hmm.
and seasons change even in relationships. And I've come to realize every relationship isn't until death,
Right.
you know, and that's and I think sometimes if we just go into things knowing that, like, kind of, okay, well, I'm going to connect with you for whatever I may need to get out of this connection for now. Maybe God is trying to teach me something, maybe God is trying to show me something, you know, or maybe I'm supposed to be something for you, you know, and not you be something for me, because, you know, those things can happen as well. Sometimes the relationship may really be for the for the other person, where you are the big sister, you know, you are the voice of reason.
Right.
Um, you know, those type of things, you know, are very possible. So, ladies, have you had an experience where you've lost, you know, a friend, a connection?
I have definitely. I had one within the last 5 years that had been a very long friendship, and I had been told to end that friendship multiple times, and I would do it like for a short period of time, and then I would kind of circle back around because we were constantly around each other. And but the final time that we kind of stopped really being friends, that was that. And I kind of knew at that moment that this was the time that this friendship was completely done. Um, no hate or anything like that. I just knew that the friendship was done and that I had nothing else to give and that there was nothing else left to do with that relationship.
Shanetta, did that person ever circle back around to you to say, you know, what happened, or did you have to provide any type of explanation?
No, she knew. It was very clear what happened, but it was really it wasn't a friendship that went both ways. It was
Mm,
more so of I was a friend to her, but I couldn't really confide in her for anything. I couldn't go to her for anything. I was her friend for her to come to me. So I was there for her. I helped her, you know, with the things that she needed help with, but I never received from the friendship. So there will be times where like other people looking from the outside will be like, why are y'all still friends? Why do you continue to? And I'm like, well, I mean, she just needs it. Like, it's okay. That's just how she is. And I'm a person that I can tell you how I feel, and I don't have a hard time expressing when I don't like something, but I will go back to being your friend and talking to you and kind of forgiving you for certain things. But it was like constant. And it just came to a point where we both knew that this isn't a healthy friendship at all. And for a few minutes, I will say that it was kind of bitter, and it was just kind of like I would see her and be like, I'm not speaking to her. I'm not talking to her. I don't care nothing about her. But after a while, I got to the place where I didn't have that feeling anymore. And that was all on me. So I had to get to the place where it wasn't that type of feeling, where it was just kind of like, you know, you are who you are. We don't have to be friends. I love you the same. I would hate to see anything, bad happen to you or your family, but we're not friends, and that's okay. And we can accept that, and it, like, there would be people that would even say, well, it's just, that's ungodly. You can't, break off. And I'm like, this don't have nothing to do with that.
Really?
It's okay for us not to be friends. Like, I don't have to be friends with everybody. We don't agree. We don't see eye to eye. We can't hang out. We cannot be girlfriends like that anymore because we're too different, and that's not going to work for me.
Tangela.
I've had some friendships that kind of just drifted apart. Mm-hmm. Maybe nothing in particular happened. Like you mentioned the example about, you have a friend at work and, your best buddies. And then when you leave the job, then the friendship kind of, dissolves. Mm-hmm. So like that, for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will say, there are definite benefits to sisterhood. Like I said, for me, these last 2 years, I've come to realize that more than I think I had my whole life. Because for a long time I just didn't see the value in it. But like that has changed. And I feel like, in our communities, I think sisterhood is important. Not that, like we to have a unified front. Like we're not always gonna agree. We're not always gonna like the same things. But I think with most of the people you encounter, you can find one commonality is something, that we have in common, even if it's just that we're both Black women. Mm-hmm. I think there's some common ground that we can find. I also believe like there's degrees to sisterhood or friendship. Like Tangela, I think you said, like the acquaintance, where, I may say, hey, I'll say happy birthday if it's your birthday, whatever. I'll check on you. If you need something and I can do it and not really put myself out, I'll go ahead and do that, and then you have the person, where you're actually actively checking on them, mm-hmm. And you're actively a part of their life, and, you may go to lunch once a year or something, and you can talk to them about the kids and, maybe work and whatever. And then you have, that level where we can talk about anything. Mm-hmm. I can share whatever. I can send my kids to your house. There's that level of sisterhood because we're particular about where we send our kids.
Right.
Okay. When you get to the level that my kids can come to your house, that's when like you in. If I trust you with my kids, that says a lot. That says a lot. But I think we all have something to offer. Mm-hmm. Like really realize what we have to offer, even to the random person on the street. If it's nothing more than a God loves you, or I hope tomorrow's better for you, or or hey, you rocking that hairstyle, whatever it is, we have something to offer. And realizing that makes it easier to connect with people. I think if we go into things thinking about what can I offer you? Like what can I bring to your life? Like too many times I think people go into relationships thinking of what they can get out of it
for me. Yeah.
I think sisterhood might be a little easier, going into it thinking, what can I do to help you? When you see the single mama and she got 2 kids or whatever, thinking, what can I offer you? Like, maybe I don't want to babysit, maybe I don't want to whatever, but I can encourage you, that kids get bigger, days get better. It gets easier, over time. You develop a routine, whatever you can do to offer something, I feel like, into the next woman's life is a step in the direction of establishing some form of sisterhood. And I think we all have to be more conscious of making extra connections. Everybody doesn't have to be, like I said, where you send your kids to their house. But I think everybody can benefit from knowing somebody cares about them.
Right.
Every woman can benefit from a compliment, from, I'm not a hugger, but, hugging is your thing, a hug, whatever it is that is your thing. I think sometimes, we should offer that to people. Just sometimes the simplest act means the world to people. And so the purpose of this conversation was to kind of get it started and us thinking about how we impact the people we come in contact with. And then kind of recognizing, our own hangups and what stops us from sisterhood, because sisterhood can also be a ministry. This, everything should be about serving others in
Right.
in the simplest forms. Nobody's telling you to sacrifice everything you are, everything you have, but service can come in many different forms.
Yeah.
So I think we should all think about that. I mean, with the pandemic, we've seen how people have gone in their house and killed themselves and never came out. How some people have gone in and died from COVID and never come out. When people come out, when we're all out and about, I think people are going to look different to us. Hopefully, we'll value each other just a little bit more. So, if this conversation, when you walking down the street, when you go into the grocery store this week, everybody got some homework. And you walk past a woman, say hi. Tell her shoes are nice, her hair is nice. I don't know. Find something to share about who you are with somebody else. That is my tip for this week. And I think if we all go out of our house with that in mind, I want to share something with somebody today. Like whatever, something. It could just be a simple compliment, a smile. If we all have that attitude, the world as a whole will start to look different.
Well,
So
if you're smiling at them, that means you don't have your mask on.
oh, right.
You can smile with your eyes. You can smile with your, you can.
Right. The nod, do the head nod.
Yeah.
You know you smile at them. Right. Wear your mask. But thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for the comments. Ladies, thank you for your time. We will be back next Tuesday at the same time, 8:30. Katrina will be back with us next week. Trina, we miss you, and we will be waiting for you next week. So we will see all you got. Yes, honey. We'll be back next week. Thank you guys for your time. Have a good night.